Burned my hand at work. Cause it's crazy. Cause I'm sitting at work, and I got this big old cup of hot tea, you know, like this big scalding cup of tea that I made for this fucking customer. This dumbass customer, this retarded, stupid ass customer. And I have this cup of tea here. And then the lady's like, what happened was, I can't even remember. Hi. So basically what happened was that the tea got made 2 times. Because one of my coworkers, they made it too. I didn't realize, so that we had 2 cups of tea. And now, obviously, a fella doesn't need 2 cups. So, ooh. Huh. Yeah, because a fella doesn't need 2 cups. Because when you have 2 cups of tea, what are you going to do? So one of them goes to the customer and the other one's ours. And, like, so basically, we didn't need that second cup. I got a compass. Oh. So I took the second cup because I didn't think we'd need it. And I decided I'd uncap it. So when I took the cap off, the tea spilled onto my hand, and it burned. So now I'm like, gosh darn. I was really pissed. I was a little angry, not gonna lie. I yelled, "Darn!" And everybody looked at me. And I ran my hand under the cold water. Beautifully cold water it was. Ran my hand right under it. And so basically what happened was, I'm looking for burn cream in the back, because you know every Dunkin' Donuts should have a burn cream. Well, guess not, because we didn't have burn cream. So I asked my manager, and I says, hey, do we have any burn cream? And she's like, no, why? And I was like, I burned my hand. And she's like, oh, no. And I picked up my hand, and the thing was bright red, like scalding red. And she's like, and I was like, it's not that bad. And she's like, and I'm like, no, it's okay. And she's like, you gotta get out of here. You gotta get to the walk-in clinic. And I was like, what? The walk-in clinic? Oh dear. This must be serious. So then, let me tell you what happens. I had to fill out the error report. Because there was an error with my hand. I had to fill out the error report. And so basically, I leave Dunkin'. They suggested that I go to there's a health and wellness center down the road. So I'm like, okay. So I didn't know exactly where it was. So I'm driving, hands on fire, and I'm driving, looking for this health and wellness center. Turns out it was to the right, because when I saw it, I was going 50. And I had to get into the parking lot, and I was like, fuck, I'm going to have to turn around. I'm going to have to keep going and then turn around and come back. But then something hit me. I was like, shit, I could actually probably make it. So I slammed on the brakes, and I fucking skid into the parking lot. I almost died. Well, anyways, so I get to this health and wellness center, and they supposedly have a walk-in clinic somewhere, but I don't know, because I couldn't fucking find it. So I'm looking all around for this health wellness clinic, because they have a sign on, you know, like at the mall, when they have the signs that say where all the stores are? They have like that, except it's not stores, it's like X-ray and like the death chamber. So I'm looking, and I can't find walk in or like, you know, whatever I needed to find. Those almonds? Anyways, so I'm like, fuck it, and I left. And I went to CVS Pharmacy. I went to the Minute Clinic. Now, I'm sure you guys are like, Minute Clinic? Wow, this must be really fast. It's not. Because it took like 800 years to clock in. Not clock in, but to sign in. So I finally sign into this Minute Clinic, and then the guy says, oh, I'm going to need your insurance card and your ID. So I was like, okay. And I wanted to clear things up with this big fella. So I says to him, oh yeah, I put that my health insurance provider wouldn't, like, I didn't have health insurance provider on the thing, on the sign-in thing, because of, I was gonna get workers' comp. And the guy looks at me and his eyes, like, glow up like he's a vampire or something, and he's like, we don't have workers' comp here. And I was like, fuck! So I stormed out of the place, got back in my car, went back to this other health and wellness center that I came from. This time I knew how to get to the parking lot, so I didn't have to skirt into the place, you know? And I get there, and I walk in, and I see on the wall the Express Care, and I was like, oh, that's probably it. Hey, what's this? Church. There's Bibles everywhere. This must be Bible camp. So anyways, yeah, so I get to the Express Clinic, and they're like, hi. And then, you know, I got my burn cream and my papers for work. And basically, I'm not going to work today because of that. Yay! My hand doesn't even hurt anymore. I just didn't feel like working today. So that's that. Very cool story. Thanks.